Welcome to Madame Raven's. This way to the library. She's been expecting you.
Help! I'm trapped in a city of all women, and I don't feel too well. Ragna turned to me. I can't have a child. That's impossible. I frowned. When Rachel first came here, she was a few weeks pregnant. Ragna froze, her eyes going wide. She turned away from me. Moira, you made it work? The adapter works? She frowned. So you're saying that Ava was the only other child you've seen? I nodded. Ragna looked down. He's likely long since dead by now. She heaved a sigh. I guess Ragna wasn't aware of Zephyrina. How long ago did Rachel arrive? Ragna asked, looking back to me, recovering her composure. Over 20 years ago? Ragna growled. Hastifer, you bastard. She cursed something in a language that sounded thick, harsh, and guttural, clenching her fist. Your damn hex claimed my son, and now you rob me of my blood daughter's childhood? She faced the window. Esmeralda, to me. The room began to stink of sulfur as a black rift opened up before us. Black smoke poured out of the rift and began to sink to the floor, like vapor from a dry icebox. Devon held Devaney tight as Chloe ran over, all of us staring in shock as a woman stepped out of the blackness. She was a good 6 feet tall, with long black hair and eyes that glowed with a violet light, similar to Ragna's. On her forehead glowed an orange brand of Omega, as if someone had seared it into her flesh. A pair of 2 little nub-like horns sat on her forehead. Her plump, blood-red lips contrasted against her pale white skin. Her dress was even stranger. It was a Victorian dress of sorts. Slats of plate armor made up the skirt of the dress. Hinged between them sat chainmail. The mail was black, while the slats of metal were white. She wore a metal corset as well that led up to her bust, covered in a pair of sphere-like metal domes. She wore silver and black gauntlets which reached up to her shoulders, where they puffed out on either side with black fabric. She trimmed it in purple cloth, and a matching bow tied her hair back. A black lace posture collar with intricate lacework led from her neck up to her chin, keeping her chin upturned. The woman curtsied. My mistress, you called? She spoke in a posh British accent. Esmeralda, I need you to find where Rachel is. Now, Ragna said as she looked to us. Madison, I need to attend to this, so I'll call you later on to finish your part of the deal, yes? I nodded. Who is that? Esmeralda's eyes fixed on me. The smell of sulfur intensified. You dare address my mistress, empress of this world and the next, as if she were a commoner? She spat. A thick black blade whip appeared in her hand. Esmeralda, it's fine. Ragna turned to me. You know damn well what she is. As you know me, Madison. She's mine. Understand? Esmeralda's lip quivered in agitation, and I saw sharp teeth behind her full lips. We don't have time to waste, servant. Now, let's go, Ragna said, stepping through the portal. Yes, mistress, your will be done. The demoness, Esmeralda, bowed before Ragna and passed through the portal with her. It shut behind them. Everyone stared at the blank space where they had vanished in shock. Devaney giggled. That metal dress lady smelled like bad eggs. Devon's eyes were wide. Was that a demon? I think it was, I said, now more shaken than before. The woman had Ragna's Omega symbol emboldened on her forehead. Ragna had said she was hers, meaning the demon was enslaved? Was that a good or bad thing? She seemed to react to the slightest insult to Ragna with extreme violence. Alice held Devaney tight. The Empress is in league with demons? She's a goddess, Chloe said, turning to Alice. Maybe she's some kind of servant nymph. Alice nodded. I can't imagine the Empress being evil. She showed mercy to Demetria. Chloe nodded. I'm sure we're misunderstanding. Chloe turned to Devon, a smile on her face. I'm Chloe. It's lovely to meet you, Devon. Devon looked Chloe over. Whoa, you're, huge. Chloe beamed at him. Why, thank you. She flexed her arm. I try to keep myself in good fighting condition. Alice seemed enamored with Chloe's showboating. I'm lost. But can someone tell me how I have a daughter? He said, smiling to Devaney. Devaney grinned. A soldier beat you up and then she got me. Alice chuckled. I'll take her outside while you two tell him, okay? Alice smiled as she picked up Devaney. But I want to stay with Daddy longer, Devaney whined. You will after the adults talk, Alice said as she walked her out of the room. Devon looked at both of us with a serious gaze. Okay, spill it. I wasn't sure how to explain, and the knot in my throat had come back. It did that lately. Chloe broke the silence. When the search party found you, only one woman, Greta, happened to cross you. She claimed she had to clear your lungs of fluid and that, during that time she was giving you mouth-to-mouth, you responded favorably to her. Chloe sighed. She then took it upon herself to, rape you. Devaney raised an eyebrow. You're telling me the last time I got laid I was unconscious? Chloe nodded. More or less. Devon frowned, looking to Chloe. So, what now? Alice has been caring for her? Chloe frowned. Alice and me. I'm her Artie's. Her what? Devon asked. Girlfriend, I clarified. Well, more wife. Chloe turned to me. Wife? So Devaney has two moms? Devon asked. Most girls do, Chloe responded. At least here. Devon frowned. So does she come live with me now? Chloe's face fell. I walked over. Devon, Chloe and Alice wanted a girl, but they had a boy. Because only women can live in Penthesil. Her son had to live here. They offered Devaney to me at first, but Chloe and Alice wanted a little girl so badly. I thought they would take the best care of her, I explained. Devon looked to Chloe. I'm not trying to take her, but, when can I see her? We're heading back there by the end of the day, I smiled. We'll swing by every weekend. I will need more time with her than that, Devon protested. Devon, that's not how it works here, I began to explain. Chloe shook her head. No, Devon has a right to be with Devaney, and I have a right to be with my boy, Fond. She looked to me. Alice and I are moving here, so I can spend more time with my son before I ship out. Chloe, why? She frowned to me. Because I don't want to leave Alice, Fond, or Devaney like Grace. Grace? What happened to Grace? I asked. Chloe shook her head. I thought you heard. No, Wait. I recalled the one-sided conversation Ragna had. No. Chloe nodded. They killed Nemi in action. Oh, my poor Grace. I couldn't imagine her pain, and her daughter Nyx was about the same age as Devaney. Chloe smiled to Devon. We'll be a nice, happy family for Devaney. The three of us together. Devaney chuckled. So, 2 moms and a dad? Chloe beamed. Yes. Devon stroked his beard. Okay, that would help me get acquainted with you. Are you sure, Chloe? This is a sudden decision, I reminded. Chloe nodded to me. I always thought about it. How if Devon ever woke up and wanted to see Devaney, what would we do? She smiled. Trust me, I've given it a lot of thought. I can protect Alice and Devaney, with Devon's help once he's back in shape. Protect them from what? Devon asked. This is a city of all men, so with only a few women around, let's just say they can get rowdy. But we've got this, Chloe explained. I'll tell Alice. The 2 of us have discussed this at length. With that, Chloe walked out into the hallway to speak to Alice. So, I just got an instant family, I guess, Devon said, tugging at his beard. Yeah, sorry to hit you with all of this, I frowned. I might go into shock, to be honest. Devon chuckled. I kind of don't believe this is real at all. Am I still dreaming? I shook my head. I wish. We can't go home? Devon asked. Yeah, this place is secret, and the government back home doesn't want anyone knowing about it. So the deep state is real, then, Devon said, eyebrows raised. I'm not even going to get into it, I grumbled. If we go home, we're in prison or dead. Devon's smile faded. Listen, Madison, I'm sorry, okay? You're sorry? Devon, it was my fault you went off the waterfall to begin with, I insisted. Devon shook his head. You had a path all mapped out, sites to visit, locations to check in at. He heaved a sigh. Madison, you made an adventure into the jungle boring. What? I was making it safer, I defended. Trust me, I see that now, Devon grimaced. But at the time I wanted something more thrilling. What are you saying? I asked. Devon flinched. I kind of ignored the landmarks on purpose and got us lost. I figured we had the gear to survive anywhere. Devon sighed. I wanted to do something uncharted. I stared at Devon aghast. Devon looked down. I didn't intend for the raft to go over a waterfall. I panicked. When I started swimming and I realized I would not make it, I thought, I deserve this. I blame myself for that, I admitted. Devon looked to me, contrite. Can you forgive me? I know this is all my fault, but I never meant for anything like this to happen. I chuckled. Devon, as much as I want to kill you, I mock threatened, I'm just glad you're okay. Devon smiled as I hugged him. Thanks. When we separated, he gave me a concerned gaze. That woman, the giant one with the wings? I didn't dream that, right? She's real? I nodded. She's the Empress here now. I sighed. She's, frickin' evil, Devon affirmed. I know. I frowned. No, I mean, when I was in her head, she told me not to poke around. But, well, I poked around, 'cause you know that's me. Ever the adventurer, I said. You ever go to sleep and you look around in a dream and you only see a few feet in front of you? Like, not a dream about a place, but in that in-between twilight between dreaming and waking up? Devon tried to explain. Maybe, I said, humoring him. The largest place ever was to me was like a small bedroom, he began. When that woman put me in her head, it was like I was in a foyer of some massive warehouse of screens. But there was one screen that was in front and center, so I touched it, he explained. What did you see? I asked. Dead angels. Hundreds of them. All killed by her, Madison. The place looked like heaven, he frowned. Madison, I think that woman killed all the angels in heaven. I didn't know how to respond to that. I saw white marble floors, ceilings and walls covered in blood, decapitated and dismembered angels everywhere. I saw it from her point of view. She had a sword covered in blood and was fighting one last angel. She killed him too, but not before he said that she'd never find happiness. He frowned to me. It kept replaying until she took me out of her head. That's crazy, Devon. That's crazy, Devon, I said. Aren't angels God's servants? Devon said. Yeah, I said, not sure what to believe anymore. Well, if they're all gone, maybe that explains why we haven't, gotten any miracles. People keep doing bad crap in God's name, you know that. That's why the world has gone to hell, Devon postulated. How do you even kill an angel? I chuckled, trying to convince myself that this couldn't be real. Apparently by cutting off their heads or wings, Devon explained. A shiver ran down my spine. Or ripping out their hearts. Chloe and Alice were talking about their move with an ecstatic Devony, who was looking forward to playing with her stepbrother Fond more often. I sat in the back seat, shell-shocked by what Devon told me. Angels can die? The Empress has killed angels. We all piled out of the car with a tone sounded through the streets. The palace had 4 massive floating screens on it. To my shock, one for each side facing all of Penthesil. On it was Ragna, in her armor, blood staining her chest piece. Do not be alarmed, citizens of Penthesil. This is your Empress speaking to you, to inform you of very important development. She seemed sad and worried. As all of you are aware, I have recalled all active duty soldiers from the field effective immediately. This included Princess Evangelina and Zephyrina. Ragna frowned at her name. While the U.S. and their allies have released all of our soldiers, our princesses remain on active duty status. Steward Demetria wrote to the United States military leadership to demand their return. She paused for effect. I glanced around to see everyone paying close attention to the broadcast. Everything in the city had come to a complete stop. Their response was that they would not return the princesses. The United States gave no date for when their service would end, Ragna informed. Lots of angry shouting reverberated through the entire city. Chloe even shouted, "How dare they!" Ragna was silent for a moment, allowing people to calm down. When the crowd's dismay calmed, Ragna continued. As a result of hearing this news, Rachel rushed to the United States to demand the return of her daughters. As any mother would, Ragna sighed. Her decision was rash, but it was a decision of a mother, most concerned for her children. I know many of you would do the same if you could. I saw Chloe nod, staring up at the screen, her eyes wet. Rachel met resistance from one of the commanding officers and was not allowed to see the princesses. In a fit of rage, that is all but a trademark of Rachel, she took the officer hostage at gunpoint, demanding they release our princesses, Ragna declared. Chloe now grinned. Had a girl. The city cheered. Ragna waited, her face still solemn. However, rather than meet Rachel's demand, they attacked Rachel. Ragna stepped aside. Behind her, Rachel was in a hospital bed, with multiple tubes going into her mouth, and some coming out of her abdomen. Blood-stained bandages around her stomach. Chloe's eyes were wide. Who could do that to the Queen? The United States fired specialized weapons at Rachel. She held up a bullet, her eyes narrowing. This armor-piercing round was fired from an Artemis Mark 17 specialized sniper rifle. Everyone in the entire city was in an uproar. The United States used our own weapons to put our queen in critical condition and to hold our princesses hostage. Ragna began as she turned to the wall and hurled the bullet through it. And I mean, she whipped the bullet and shot it through the wall as she fired it out of a gun. She turned back to the camera. Penthesil will not stand for such indignity. I had planned on a much different approach, but the United States leaves us little choice. Chloe was shouting with the others. Bring them home! Ragna glared at the camera. This is my official proclamation as Empress of Penthesil and all her future provinces. Everyone quieted down to listen. I hereby declare war on the United States of America. More cheering from everyone around me. I turned to see even Alice and Devaney shouting their approval. Stuart Demetria will plan with all of you. Our march to the United States cannot be direct, but you know this. With each country we take, we grow stronger and closer to freeing our princesses. Prepare yourself, Valkyrie, because soon you will fly on wings of glory. I had never heard an entire city erupt in cheers before. It shook the ground, all of them shouting, cheering, celebrating the new war. Chloe picked up Devaney and began to walk back home with Alice. Chloe, where are you guys going? I shouted. Chloe turned to me, giving me a serious look. I will get ready to fight for Princess Zephyrina. And with that she turned, heading home. I glared at the palace. Ragna was using my friends as toy soldiers, and I was furious. I got to the palace, and it was surprisingly empty. The woman at the desk was still there. She recognized me. Oh, Madison, she smiled. Praise heiress. Praise heiress, I said, walking over. Do you know where the Empress is? She pursed her lips, leaning towards me. She's not to see anyone. But if you have an inclination to visit her, she grinned. She's been in her office. She leaned forward, more whispering. And she is in a mood most foul. Heiress be praised. Discord surrounds us. I nodded to her and headed towards Ragna's office. Something shattered inside, and I heard Ragna roar in anger. I hesitated in front of the door, second-guessing myself. My hand had already knocked on the door without me controlling it. The blood drained from my face. The door flew open. I said no disturbing me. Ragna looked down on me. Madison, you know what? This is perfect timing. She grabbed my hand and pulled me into the office. The room was in shambles, besides a large painting above where Ragna's desk used to be. She had folded the desk in half and smashed against the far wall. There was a photo on the wall. It had crashed in two. It was a single photo of a Latino woman, short with brown hair and eyes in a military uniform. There was a name under the photo. Captain Sofia Vasquez, United States Armed Forces. Ragna picked up a chair, putting it up. Have a seat. Sorry for the sad state of the office. She heaved a sigh. The love of my life is in critical condition thanks to that bitch. Ragna hurled the letter opener at the photo, which stuck square in the middle of the woman's face, her and her bloody avatar of Michael. Who is that woman? I asked. She's the leader of a new wave of Nephilim, and the one who's likely keeping the princesses, my daughter, from me. Ragna's eyes were pulsing with violet light. I want to rip her apart. I'll do it slowly. I'll crucify her and then tear off her fingers one by one. I'll make sure she suffers. Ragna fell to her knees, like she made my Rachel suffer. Your Highness, I frowned. in a sight I never thought I'd see. Ragna fell to her hands and knees and whimpered. "You love Rachel, don't you?" I asked, kneeling next to her. I guess Ragna didn't have the emotional hang-ups most of the Penthesil Arties had. When Rachel left, my heart broke. My only solace was that she had left a little piece of herself with my brother and me. She choked. "I lost him, too." "Him?" I asked. "My son." She got to her knees, only to fall back into a sitting position on the floor, looking to the photo. "Sorry to hear that," I consoled. "Rachel gave birth to fraternal twins. One was Evangeline, your princess, and the other," she frowned. "Well, I named him. Rachel had already named her daughter, and their father wasn't present." "What happened to your son?" I asked. Ragna closed her eyes and leaned her head back on the chair. "Someone took him away." "Someone?" I asked. Ragna nodded. "Someone angry at his father. Angry at me. More than likely they kidnapped him, and he's likely—" Ragna trailed off. "He was mine to protect. The last bit of Rachel I had at the time, and I failed him." "I'm sure it's not your fault." I sat next to her, somehow sympathizing. "I can throw one of those Humvees you have a good 20 feet with little effort. But I couldn't protect my son." Ragna got to her feet. "Wouldn't he be your stepson?" I asked. Ragna turned to me. "It doesn't matter. He's my son as much as he's Rachel's." Ragna looked around. "I have too much to do to be feeling sorry for myself. I have a wedding to plan, an army to assemble, and a world to rule." Ragna turned to me. "Madison, I'm sorry you had to see me like this." "Are you messing with me? Trying to seem human to get me to trust you?" I accused. Ragna shrugged. "You wouldn't believe me if I deny it, but I'd put it to you like this. What reason would I have to put on some show for you after I already did what you asked me to do for you? Your Devon is awake, is he not?" I nodded. "Good point." Ragna walked to the desk, moving the heavy thing easily, and pulling out the pack of vials she showed me earlier. She pulled out a blue one, then looked to me. She clasped it in her hands. "Madison, I think you can help me with something else, and I can help you a little more in exchange." When she opened her hand, the vial was more purple than blue. "Not only am I going to give you this gift, but I will train you personally." "What?" I frowned. "I want you to exact revenge for me." She loaded the now purple vial into an injection gun. "When I'm done training you, I'll name you the captain of your own regiment. They will be a Discordian regiment." I swallowed hard, but she spoke. I realized why Eris was so keen on my being here. "Oh, but what about the other soldiers? Won't they be a bit peeved that I've skipped some ranks?" Ragna smiled. "Something tells me the Discordians won't mind." She tilted her head to the side and swabbed my neck with a cotton ball. "You have this one chance to say no, Madison." I'm a little apprehensive, I will not lie." "Don't you dare back out now." The harsh whisper almost made me fall to the floor. "Madison, are you sure you're up for this?" Ragna asked. "Yes, just do it before I change my mind," I shouted. "Suit yourself." Ragna pressed the needle into my neck, and I felt the cool liquid rush into my veins. I shivered and gasped. The coolness is not the only thing rushing through my veins. I turned to the photo on the wall, and hate filled me. "That woman!" "Yes," Ragna said. "Captain Vasquez will pay, and you'll be the one to destroy her." I hated no one as much as her. I didn't know why. A woman I've never met, a woman I never ever knew about. But from the depths of my soul, I wanted nothing more but to kill her. Vasquez, I hissed. The name alone made my blood boil. Rest tonight. Meet me here tomorrow. Your training will begin in earnest, Ragna advised as she placed a small Band-Aid on the injection site. I nodded. Okay, thanks. I headed out the door, feeling the coolness fade, my heart thumping in my chest. When I got home, my whole body ached. I felt like I'd just run a marathon, and my head was killing me. Hilly, I said, groaning, sitting down at the kitchen table. Oh, fuck, I growled, slamming my fist on the table. Damn it, Hilly. I swear by Eris, if you're drunk. I shook my head as I noticed a note on the table. I picked it up, calming myself. Maddie, if you've come back, I'm so thrilled. Something happened to the Queen. I had to assemble the Royal Guard for 24/7 monitoring. I'm so sorry, but I won't be home until late tomorrow morning, if at all. I'm writing to let you know where I am, that I'm still holding strong and sober. It's thanks to you. You've always been there for me, and I'm sorry if I came on strong before. You're a close friend. Can you blame me for wanting more? I growled as I read that part. You already took more. If you ever wanted to experiment or anything, I would. I want to be closer to you, but I understand if you don't. Your drunk self already had me, you snide bitch, I shouted, then stopping myself blinked. Where did that come from? My stomach did a backflip, but I read on. I hope you're okay, Maddie. I'm worried for you. I need to go, but please know I'm okay and strong. Love, Hilly. She never signed her name Hilly. Hilly, you sap. I smiled, and for the first time, I didn't feel a knot in my throat as I thought about Hilly and me. I blushed. Wait. The lump in my throat came back, and I felt nauseous. My head is still pounding, and I can barely think right now. I'm going to bed. I hope I feel better in the morning. So quoth this raven. Well, like Maddie, you can tell I'm not feeling so great, but a cold is a cold. We all have to deal with them. Thank you all for joining me. 2 parts left. It will take us right up through the last Sunday in 2019. Thank you so much, my darlings, for coming to join me in my little library. And special thanks to my Patreon supporters, Ermin, Darren and Jennifer, Laura, Mutant Artificial Intelligence, Tabby Cat, and Charlotte Emerson. If you like this, please hit the little button to let me know. If you didn't, hit the little button to let me know. Leave a comment. I'm always glad to talk with you, my darlings. I'm open to suggestions and criticisms, critiques. If you have not subscribed, please do so and ring the little bell so you know when to come up and see me. And I will talk to you next time, my darlings. Farewell.